Hey everybody, welcome back to Greg's Grooves. We're here with another episode of Overlooked Masterpieces. Before I get started, just a quick request. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps me get motivated to make more videos, to see that there are like-minded folks commenting and liking and subscribing. I appreciate every one of you who's joined the journey so far. This has been more fun than I expected, so I'd like to keep it going, and your support really helps. Ripping the Capitol Theater today, Portchester, New York, my hometown, my beloved hometown, one of the greatest rock venues in the United States, though I'm biased. But anyway, let's get started. Today, we are going to be talking about Seconds of Pleasure by Rockpile. Rockpile only has one album, but not really. If you know anything about the pub rock scene, the rockabilly scene, new wave scene of the late 70s, early 80s, then you probably know about Rockpile. But some of you may not know that these two albums are also Rockpile albums. What? These are Rockpile albums? How come they don't say Rockpile? Because of music company shenanigans, all right? So Nick Lowe, Dave Edmunds are two of the main contributors to the band known as Rockpile, along with Billy Bremer and Terry Williams. Terry Williams, amazing drummer. You're always going to hear me talking about drummers on this channel, as I am one. So Nick Lowe and Dave Edmunds are both signed to individual recording contracts, though they always work together in the studio, on the road. So you will hear Nick Lowe and Dave Edmunds albums, and you'll hear Dave Edmunds on Nick Lowe albums. And in 1979, this pair of albums hits the market. Nick Lowe, Labor of Lust, contains Cruel to Be Kind, which probably Nick Lowe's most well-known tune. You still hear it on FM radio all the time, especially I hear it all the time on Q104.3 and First Wave on Sirius XM. And then you have Repeat When Necessary by Dave Edmunds, which contains Girls Talk, a track written by Elvis Costello, but Dave's is the definitive version of that song, and that also gets a great amount of airplay to this day. Both of these albums are phenomenal, but they are not overlooked masterpieces. Nick Lowe's Labor of Lust, Dave Edmunds' Repeat When Necessary are in the canon of great albums. I would argue that Rockpile's self-titled gets overlooked because of the two albums that preceded it. So Seconds of Pleasure comes out in 1980, right in the aftermath of Labor of Lust and Repeat When Necessary. And even though it is another Dave Edmunds, Nick Lowe vehicle, their names don't grace the front cover or the spine. Of course, they're on the backside, but you can see how maybe a less well-versed consumer in 1980 who might like Dave Edmunds or Nick Lowe wouldn't necessarily know that this was one of their albums. And it's a shame, because it's a phenomenal album, right up there with the two that preceded it. While there's no smash hit like Cruel to Be Kind, I think there's songs that hold up just as well. Teacher, Teacher, probably the song most people know from the album. Just a fantastic song, lyrically humorous, and an incredible performance. Terry Williams is a beast on drums, and he always gets overlooked. His work on this album is amazing. His work with Dire Straits was incredible. And I would argue, just like with my first video for Overlooked Masterpieces, some of these songs really come alive when played live. There's a great Rockpile video on YouTube. There is Live at Montreux, a CD by Rockpile that really captures the essence of this band at their peak performing live. The studio cuts are energetic and super well produced because Nick Lowe is an incredible producer, but they don't capture the spirit that the live performances do. And a through line that you're probably going to see if you keep up with this channel is that I really tend to appreciate bands that perform better live than in the studio. Not to take away from great studio work, but I think just personally for me, one of the measures of a great band is how they sound in person, and Rockpile was phenomenal. So as we go through the track list, as I like to do, Teacher Teacher, amazing. Play That Fast Thing One More Time, End Side 1. It is a song that needs to be played live. The studio cut doesn't do it justice, just as I was describing. Literally the title kind of says it, Play That Fast Thing One More Time, meaning you gotta be live, you gotta up the tempos, you gotta be more frantic, and you can't really recreate that on an album cut. In the middle of side 1, you have Heart, which I think is a sadly overlooked pop masterpiece. Beautiful melody, great vocals all around. This group just had fantastic talent, incredible harmonies. They were all incredibly talented singers and musicians, and Heart really showcases their flexibility. When you get to side 2, When I Write the Book is, again, an absolute pop masterclass. Nobody can write a pop song like Nick Lowe can write a pop song, and the 2-part harmonies on When I Write the Book are incredibly beautiful. I'm no singer, but every time I'm in the car and this comes up on one of my Spotify playlists, I've got to sing the harmony parts because they're just a blast. And on side 2, also You Ain't Nothing But Fine, another song that really comes alive when played live. Now, the other tracks in the album are good, no doubt about it. You know, there's some weaker ones in there, but the whole album just plays strong from track 1 to the last track, and it all works together in that pseudo sort of rockabilly, new wave, pub rock, neo-classic rock sort of vibe. It's kind of a shame, as weird as this sounds, that this didn't come out as a Dave Edmunds or Nick Lowe album, because I think it would have gotten a lot more notoriety. You could also argue it's a shame that albums like this didn't come out as Rockpile albums, because then maybe the band would be up there on the Mount Rushmore of great, at least new wave rockabilly bands. I mean, they're already kind of there, but I really think if you take the totality of their work under Rockpile, Dave Edmunds, Nick Lowe, they deserve to be considered one of the great bands of all time. And I think this whole situation with the albums being released under different names hurt them in that respect. So, if you're getting new to collecting and you come across a copy of Seconds of Pleasure and you say, I've never heard of Rockpile, buy it, play it, listen to it. It is phenomenal. That's it for episode 2 of Overlooked Masterpieces, and I want to thank you all again for joining me. Please subscribe. It really helps me get motivated to make more of this content. See you next time on Greg's Grooves.